introduce him. I'm very happy that Wodek has offered to speak here tonight. I'm a volunteer with the Canadian Secular Alliance, and my responsibility is to gain more media attention for atheists and opposing voice to all the people representing different faiths in the media. As the segment of the population for the non-religious and atheists are growing at a large rate, I think our logical and rational voice should be included in a respectful debate with theists. For instance, in the Globe and Mail, there are frequent columns in the opinion section representing the Christian, Muslim, and Jewish religions. We have tried to get Justin into the mix with no success as yet. Justin does write for the Online Globe, as well as appearing on several TV broadcasts, so there is hope. I'm always building up contacts since there is a lot more that can be done. A lot of times I get a standard form letter stating thank you for the interest in our program, however, blah, blah, blah. I would urge anyone who sees something ridiculous written by a religious representative to write into letters to the editor as much as you can. And Wodek has a long and distinguished career in the media and is a producer at The Agenda on TVO. And as a fellow atheist, he has a unique perspective on our exclusion from the media. Wodek, welcome.
Thank you very much. Just adjust this track. I think this is better this way. So you know, I'm Wodek Szemberg. I'm a producer at TV Ontario. I contribute to The Agenda. I produce Big Ideas, Best Lecture Competition. And I have two purposes for being here. One is to share with you some of my ideas about the problems of being atheist. Maybe that's the formulation that you like me to take. The second one is to hear what you have to say and to get some ideas for future broadcasts. We're also looking for talent, we're also looking for angles, we're also looking for passion. Very good. Thank you. The question the question raised for me is why there are so few atheists in the media. I will try to answer this question, but before I do, I want to talk to you about the perspective that I bring to this question, and the perspective that I bring to this question has something to do with where I'm from. And as you can tell by my accent, I'm from somewhere else. And I found it very interesting that I have also been introduced on the website as being an out-of-closet atheist, which surprised me because I've never thought of myself as that. And that has to do with the fact that I come from a country where atheism was not a matter of choice, but it was a matter of obligation. You know, I was born in Poland. I was born in Poland when Poland was a communist country. I was born in Poland when two parents who were members of the Communist Party. I was, while many of you have grown up with fictitious notions about meaning of Christmas, you know, for me Christmas was May Day. I was waiting for May Day with great anticipation, and was, as a child, absolutely enthused about the pleasure of marching in a parade with thousands with others, you know, expressing our fondest hope for a wonderful future. Obviously, these kinds of longings came easy to me because I was, as I said, born to parents who were members of the Communist Party, and I have a picture of myself as a toddler. Sitting on the table, and behind me there was a painting, and the painting was of Lenin and Stalin. This is the kind of atmosphere that I grew up in. You know, in 1956, after the 20th Congress of the Communist Party, when Khrushchev denounced Stalin, his collected works that we had on our shelves disappeared. You know, and a few years later, Lenin's collected works also disappeared. So atheism came easy to me. Atheism was natural. Atheism, I learned how to take pride in atheism without any particular understanding of science, or any particular understanding of evolution. It was simply part and parcel of the kind of a world I grew up in. So I've always been out of closet. You know, I've never had to hide it. I've never had to worry about what people might think of me because of my atheism. And I am an atheist. The difference is that, well, I presume that many of you, most of you are atheists and are very proud of that. You know, I call myself an atheist without bragging rights. I'm not proud of being an atheist. I am because I don't believe in God, but not because I think that the best thing one can be in life is be an atheist. Atheism by itself does not give you any reason to think that you're better than others, or that you understand things more fully, or are a better human being, or any of those things that we think give us a reason to be proud. Let me just fix this. Okay. See, I'm not used to this because I'm a producer, so I'm a puppet master. You know, I have others do that for me. You see, this is unusual because I don't have Steve Paikin to do it for me, and he's so much better at being smooth and eloquent. So, so the reason why I have told you what I told you about my communist past and my natural atheism is because what I realized many years later, when I left behind my Marxist affectations, is the role that communism played in my life. It was a religious experience. It was religious because it offered a total explanation of everything. It offered a total explanation of all that mattered, and it was sacrosanct. It was not to be criticized. It wasn't to be questioned. All claims to scientific evidence, of course, had nothing to do with it being open to scientific inquiry. It was a total picture of the world. And as such, it was to be taken, and as such, it was to be treasured. And it was very emotionally satisfying. It had an iconography. It had flags, it had pictures, it had images, it had sounds. I grew up loving the Red Army Choir. I don't know if any of you have had the pleasure of listening to it in the Red Army Choir, but I still love it. I mean, it was such a thoroughgoing aesthetic experience that left me with a lot of anthems, of big sounds, of things that bind, of sounds that offer a large experience. Not individual experience, not that there's music that's private, there's music that's public. You know, obviously communism excels at public music, the way religion does. You know, Bach is not private, Bach is public. And so with many years later, reading George Steiner, I absolutely understood what he said when in 1974 Massey lecture, and some of you who might have watched the agenda program on his Faith Inevitable, the one that included Robert Bachman and Ronald D'Souza and people that you know, that was on last month. I had Steve Paikin quote George Steiner, who said in his 1974 Massey lecture There has been a marked decline in the role played by formal religious systems in Western society. Christian faiths, which had organized so much of Western view of man's identity and our function in the world, lost their hold over sensibility and over daily existence, affecting the very center of Western moral intellectual being, leaving an immense emptiness. The decay of comprehensive Christian doctrine had left in disorder essential perceptions of social justice, of the meaning of human history, of the relation between mind and body, of the place of knowledge in our moral conduct. Where there is a vacuum, new energies and surrogates arise. Communism was that kind of surrogate. Communism lived off the human desire for total meaning. And when as atheists we quibble and discuss and debate religious belief systems, what behooves us to understand is that what we are debating is not just an idea, a concept, or belief in this or that. We are contending with something that is deep, that is profound, that betrays a longing for a meaningful existence. And the claim that scientific validity is not on their side is not really a helpful argument. It's not a winning argument. It doesn't persuade, because it's not about science. It's not about facts. It's not about evidence. It's about emotional needs. And those emotional needs don't start with scientific inquiry. They start with the experience of being infant, and they start with the experience of being helpless, and they start with the experience of wanting to be taken care of. And all of us experience it, and all of us have gone through it, and that powerful, pre-rational experience of the universe as inchoate, as threatening, as frightening, as incoherent, that can be made meaningful through love of those who take care of us, stays with us, and finds new ways of manifesting itself and affirming itself, whether through religion, whether through communism, whether through environmentalism. All manner of constructs try to combine our need for total meaning with a sense of how we fit into the scheme of things. Now, communism didn't survive, but what did survive was Polish Catholicism, for example. And Polish Catholicism survived in a way in which you who contend with the presence of religious beliefs in the media can't even begin to understand. I mean, the United States, I think, offers a better understanding of what it means to have religion all around you. When we watch, Esther and I watch Polish news, as we do from time to time, you know, it's unbelievable how the presence of the church in the public media. You know, every time there's church is a major public institution. You cannot deny its right to be public, and we can't even begin to imagine what the public presence means. And again, you know, it's communism was able to engage needs for overall large total meaning. And once it went bankrupt, it was again replaced, and its disappearance made room for another kind of iconography that was more traditional, that was more familiar to Poles who obviously, for whom Catholicism connotes nationalism, connotes a sense of collective identity. Again, religion is not about does God exist or doesn't God exist. Religion is about other things. It's about identities, it's about emotions, it's about belonging, it's about presence, it's about knowing how you connect with the world around you. When one very interesting thing that was said by Ronald D'Souza, who many of you know on the program about whether faith is inevitable. He said the most interesting thing. He said religion is the price we pay for science. What he meant by that is that religion is offered us the capacity to imagine the invisible in a way in which science probes itself into an understanding of that which is not yet understood, not yet visible. That ability to imagine the invisible is what came to us through religion. Religion opened up to us the notion that which we see is not all there is. And that needs to be respected. That needs to be respected, that needs to be understood. Rationalists, humanists, and those who can do without religion must understand that 400 years of scientific inquiry does not do away with thousands upon thousands of years of human imagination. Only because we came to understand that a bridge will only stand if it's based on scientific understanding of nature and not on theological understanding of man, still does not mean that science offers us a substitute for all that which we thought and imagined for those thousands upon thousands of years prior to Renaissance and Enlightenment. So what do we do with the latest series of arguments were presented to us by Dawkins, by Dennett, by Hitchens, by Harris, the Four Horsemen as they're called? So we in the media obviously are always engaged by passion. I mean that is what drives our interests. We are constantly on the lookout for passion of those who have things to say, with passion of those who have interest in hearing them. Television is a very passionate medium at its best. I don't know how many of you have had a chance to see the program on the agenda with Mark Stein. That was was a Tuesday, wasn't it? Yes. Well, the emotions on this program are very much connected with emotions out in the TV land. There are certain kinds of subjects that connect with viewers. Multiculturalism is one, religion is another one, and cosmology. Cosmology not in this big way as multiculturalism, but as producer of big ideas, I can tell you that whenever we have lectures, usually from Perimeter Institute, about the origins of the universe, we get big numbers. And the reason why multiculturalism, religion, cosmology work for our kinds of viewers, and I always speak, for TV Ontario as a piece of media landscape, that attracts people with certain kind of intelligence, interest in public affairs, interest in ideas. And the reason why these subjects work is because they work on both levels, on the rational and the emotional. Even lectures, as I said, on cosmology attract a very big audience, an audience of people who don't necessarily are able to follow the language of theoretical physics. But the reason why they are engaged by it is because these are lectures about everything, about the biggest possible frame that science can bring to the question of who are we and where do we come from. And these are very compelling questions. The reason why multiculturalism matters is because multiculturalism, I think, fundamentally goes to the question of how we are establishing our sense of who belongs and who doesn't, and how we're going to connect with a world that obviously is absolutely changing its cultural fabric. Big questions. Really speak to for business. And what we have a problem with is that, and what atheists have a problem with, what the rationalists have a problem with, is that when arguing, they want to argue facts, and they want to argue evidence, and thinking that in itself will take care of the problem of the opposing point of view. Knowledge, science, evidence are no longer as the authoritative sources of argument as they used to be. Over the last 30, 40 years, the economy of knowledge has fundamentally changed. The primacy of scientific understanding no longer is self-evident. Science has become one of many ways of looking at things. In many respects, the assault on authority that obviously came to most visible fruition during the 60s. The postmodernist undermining of modernist beliefs, attitudes about the primacy and hierarchy of things. Feminism, with its claim that private is political. In other words, particular matters. That identity politics, with its various claims on egalitarian responses to perceptions of inequality, invisibility, disrespect. All of these things have fundamentally altered the landscape where we debate things and how we debate things, what arguments work and what arguments do not work. And what I'm trying to convey to you is that for atheists to be able to learn how to argue, they must accept the fact that science is a very partial filter through which to convey what you would like to convey. Ian McEwan, the British novelist, said recently, when asked about the presence of religion in public life. He said, it is built into human nature. Why there are so many people who don't, if it is built into human nature, why are there so many people who don't believe in God? I think it is important that people with no religious beliefs speak up and speak for what they value. There's a bit of a problem, the title atheist. No one really wants to be defined by what they do not believe in. But it is crucial that people who do not have a sky god and don't have a set of supernatural beliefs assert their belief in moral values and love and in the transcendence that they might experience in landscape or art or music or sculpture or whatever. See, that is the problem of atheism. Those with a cultural capital that offers them the appreciation of art and music and sculpture and all those things can find meaning precisely in tracing the connections or the overlapping meanings that exist in the world of symbolic values. But it is obviously a very let's say elitist view of what we can substitute religion with, and obviously art was meant to do precisely that. I mean, since the 18th century, art was the modernist project was precisely to replace religion with art. And Ian McEwan today, is still arguing in favor of that as being a sufficient substitute. Is it? Obviously, for him it is. It is for me. It might be enough for you. Whether it's enough for others, obviously, time will tell, but from what we can see, it probably will not do the trick. In many respects, atheism would prove itself to be a more successful way of contending with complexity and of reality if we were able to show that atheists die better. If we were able to show that atheists are less afraid of death. If atheists were to say, look at us. We are able to face the nothingness and be okay about it. And we can teach you how to be okay about it.
Why should we be okay about it? I don't want to die.
Sorry?
Why should we be okay about it? I don't want to die.
Well, but you will. But precisely, you don't want to die. You display the normal kind of anxiety that we all do, and yet we will have to. But here's the crux of the matter. Inside, the reason why there's religion is because there's death. If there was no death, there would be no need for religion. And we have to understand that the reason why atheist arguments might not travel and might not succeed in being persuasive is precisely because we do not have a better response to the questions that religion poses. There are questions already. Go ahead.
Isn't it more a fear of death rather than death itself? I mean, animals didn't invent religion to cope with their deaths.
No, but then as far as we know, that's right. But then, in a sense, they are not creatures that are capable of creating symbolic values and symbolic meanings. We are, and so because we are, we have the capacity because we